The Where Our Minds Wander podcast may contain sensitive content and explicit language. Listener discretion is advised. Greetings, fellow wanderers, to the places our minds wander.
The house at the end of the dirt road, where disembodied voices whisper and strange sounds make the living shiver.
Where shadows lurk at the edge of the woods, just outside your back door. And mysterious lights speed beyond reason across the clear night sky.
Odd events throughout time that lead you down the rabbit hole.
I'm Wes.
And I'm Beth.
And this is Where Our Minds Wander. Hello, and welcome to Our Minds Wander, all you fellow wanderers. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, everyone.
Well, Beth, we're back in the studio a little early this evening recording.
It is early for us. The sun's not even down yet.
Well, it was a nice day off, and it was rather rainy and chilly, so you got some things done today.
I did. I started a cryptid cross-stitch project that I kind of sort of designed myself in a way, but I'm pretty excited about it. I have the Mothman done, and I have the Flatwoods Monster done, and I am starting the Kelly Hopkinsville Goblin next.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to turn out pretty cool.
I know.
Be a nice wall hanger.
Or a pillow.
Or a pillow. I prefer the wall hanger. It would go nice here in the studio.
Yeah, we could hang it up in here.
We also started a little early tonight because we got to do a little bit of light packing because we're headed to Fort Ticonderoga tomorrow.
Yes, and I have never been there. I don't know how I haven't, but I haven't, so I'm very excited.
Yeah. Back in the day when I was in grade school, many, many, many moons ago, we used to go there on field trips with grade school.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a haunted location, so I'm sure, nudge, nudge, hint, hint, we will be doing an episode on it very soon. Probably next week.
I could see that in our future.
Yes.
Well, who knows? It's definitely going to be a great day. And our daughter's going with us.
Yeah.
So, no matter what, it's going to be a great day.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
And I'm bringing my kidney stones along with us, too. And hopefully they behave.
You should have names for them. Do you have names for them? Besides pain and suffering?
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we get started before pain and suffering make an appearance?
Okay. We are sharing our topic tonight. So, our story begins with a well-respected British scientist and lawyer named Philip Sclater. Sclater was a prominent zoologist, and he was an expert ornithologist during his lifetime. Little did he know that one of his theories would spawn a massive theosophy movement surrounding a lost continent, the birth of humanity, and ethereal beings known for their infinite wisdom that still exists today.
Well, yeah, I'm still around.
You're the ethereal being with infinite wisdom?
Seems plausible.
Does it?
Let's just go with it. Continue.
Sclater was, by definition, a Renaissance man, in that he practiced law, but he also had a keen interest in philosophy and zoology. After traveling through the U.S., he returned to England and published a paper in 1858 that outlined 6 zoological regions across the globe. It was so thorough and accurate that it's still in use today. He was also an expert ornithologist, and he had 9,000 birds in his collection, which he donated to the British Museum in 1886. There are actually 10 different animals named after him, and most of them are birds. He founded the British Ornithologists' Union's journal called the Ibis, and he served as its first editor. And from 1860 until 1902, 42 years, he served as the secretary of the Zoological Society of London. During this time, he was also the president of the biological section of the British Association for the Advancement of Science, and he was an active member of the American Philosophical Society. So, Renaissance man. In 1901, he described the existence of a rather peculiar animal to the Zoological Society, although he had never actually seen one for himself. It was a cross between a donkey and a zebra, but it was also related to the giraffe. Fellow zoologists doubted its existence, but Sclater insisted that the reddish-brown animal with zebra-striped legs was real. Today, we know them as okapis. That same year, Sclater received an honorary doctorate of science from Oxford. But one animal that completely baffled him earlier in his career was lemurs. He was quite fascinated by lemurs, especially since they only existed on Madagascar. But after traveling to India, he was fascinated to find lemur fossils there as well. However, he did not find any lemur fossils in Africa. And so, in 1864, he put forth a theory that thousands of years ago, what is now Madagascar and India were part of a larger continent in the Indian Ocean that broke apart. Most of this lost continent must have sunk beneath the ocean and was lost. And because his theory was based entirely on lemurs, he named this theoretical lost continent Lemuria. It was simply an hypothesis, a well-researched one, but a hypothesis nonetheless.
He could have called it Zaboomafu.
He could have. I loved that show.
It was awesome.
But according to ExplorerWeb.com, 4 years later in 1868, German biologist Ernst Haeckel expanded Sclater's hypothesis with his own. Perhaps trying to debunk Darwin's theories of evolution, Haeckel claimed that Lemuria was actually the birthplace of humanity. And this is where everything took on a life of its own. One man, often referred to as a pseudo-archaeologist, was Augustus Laplangen. He used photographs to document all kinds of ruins and artifacts in ancient Mayan sites. He was a pretty interesting guy. He survived a shipwreck at age 19 off the coast of Chile, worked as a surveyor during the California gold rush, and then became obsessed with earthquakes, trying to determine why they happened. As he traveled through South America, he focused primarily on the ancient Mayans, and, as I had said, he took thousands of photographs. His theories included the origin of Freemasonry began with the Mayans, that ancient knowledge traveled from the Maya to Atlantis and then to ancient Egypt, except he referred to Atlantis by a different name, Mu, and he said it was in the Pacific Ocean, not the Indian Ocean. Enter occult writer James Churchward. Churchward theorized that all of the world's ancient civilizations, the Egyptians, Inca, Indian, Babylonians, Persians, all of them came from Mu. He was given this knowledge from Indian priests while he was visiting India. Mu, according to him, once had 64 million inhabitants on an island formed out of granite. He said it was located, quote, somewhere north of Hawaii to the south, as far as Fiji and Easter Island, end quote. Now, this point in the narrative was a little confusing to me, but somehow the idea of Lemuria and Mu became synonymous, even though these experts were saying they were in different oceans. And then Helena Blavatsky got involved. Now, we've talked about Helena or Madame Blavatsky before. She was a very famous spiritualist who founded Theosophy, the idea that divine wisdom can be attained through spiritual ecstasy, intuition, or insight. She actually came to our area in 1874 when she visited the Eddy brothers in Chittenden, Vermont, along with reporter Henry Steele Olcott. The two of them became great friends, and Olcott actually helped cement her reputation as a spiritualist leader. Blavatsky theorized that there were 7 root races, an idea she published in her book, The Secret Doctrine, in 1888. Each of the root races were different stages of human evolution, and they each existed on lost continents. She proposed that the 3rd root race were the Lemurians, who lived on the lost continent of Lemuria, which stretched from the Indian Ocean to the South Pacific about 34 million years ago. She called Lemuria Shalmari. She said that once Lemuria sank, all that was left was Madagascar, part of Australia, and New Guinea. She also proposed that Lemuria sank gradually due to volcanic activity. The Lemurians coexisted with dinosaurs and were much taller and bigger than modern humans. They initially laid eggs and were an ape-like hermaphrodite species. According to BigThink.com, William Scott Elliott elaborated on Blavatsky's theory in his book, The Lost Lemuria, in 1904. He said that Theosophist Charles W. Ledbetter had received information through astral clairvoyance that told him the Lemurians were 15 feet tall, with brown skin, flat faces, and bird-like sideways vision. They could walk backwards just as easily as they could walk forwards. In India, Tamil nationalists and mystics claimed that Lemuria was really Kumari Kandam, a legendary sunken land that was mentioned way back in 15th century literature. They claimed that Lemuria was a matriarchal society. It was mentioned in Tamil literature as far up as the 1980s. So all because of one theory about lemurs possibly living on a sunken supercontinent, basically. In 1894, Frederick Spence Oliver wrote in his book, A Dweller on Two Planets, that the surviving Lemurians traveled to Mount Shasta in Northern California, and they built a jewel-encrusted underground city called Talos. Tales of the physical existence of the lost continent of Lemuria existed well until the 1960s, until Alfred Wegener proved the theory of plate tectonics and it became apparent that Lemuria could not have existed at all. But then, in 2013, scientists made their own interesting discovery. India and Madagascar had once been part of the same larger continent in the distant past, not just once, but twice. According to allthat'sinteresting.com, scientists discovered granite fragments in the ocean south of India on a shelf that extends hundreds of miles towards Mauritius. And then they found zircon on the island itself, which dated way before Mauritius was thought to have formed by volcanic activity and plate tectonics. So what this means is that there was a much larger landmass in the Indian Ocean that broke into what is now Mauritius and Madagascar and India. But rather than name it Lemuria, the geologists in 2013 named this lost landmass Mauritia. However, the plot thickens, since Mauritia was thought to have broken up 84 million years ago. You see, lemurs could not have originated in Mauritia, since they didn't show up in Madagascar until 54 million years ago. It has been proven since that they swam from Africa to Madagascar. In addition, the fossils that Sclater studied in India weren't actually lemurs at all. They were the remains of the slender loris, a similar tiny primate. So, Sclater's hypothesis was wrong as far as the origin of lemurs go, but he was right in that there was once a larger landmass that was technically a lost continent. Now, this is a little bit of an aside, but I found this kind of interesting. Lemurs got their name from Carl Linnaeus in 1750. He named them after the ancient Roman lemurs, or restless spirits of the unburied dead. There was a Lemuria festival in ancient Rome for 3 nights during the month of May, when the man of the household would rise at midnight and take a walk, throwing black beans behind him. This was supposed to placate the restless spirits, but people would also bang on bronze pots, too, to ward them off. But anyway, we'll get back to Lemuria itself and the people who were said to have inhabited it after this quick break. Hey, did you know? In the 1960s, the CIA spent $20 million on an espionage project known as Acoustic Kitty. And yes, it's as horrible as it sounds. First, they surgically implanted a microphone in cats' ear canals, a battery pack in their rib cages, connected to a radio transmitter at the base of their skulls, and wrapped a fine wire antenna around their tails. Then they set the cats free close to Soviet compounds and public parks in the Soviet Union. During the very first field test, the poor cat wandered into traffic and was hit by a taxi. In fact, the unnecessary surgeries and $20 million cost was all for nothing, as each acoustic kitty was too distracted by hunger, their desire to hunt mice, or its surroundings to stay in one place long enough to do any real espionage work. Who'da thunk it?
All right, we're back from the break, and I'm going to pick up where Beth left off. According to Gaia.com, an advanced race of beings, known as the Alether, arrived on Earth approximately 200,000 years ago from the Pleiades in order to raise the planet's vibration and encode the water. they chose Lemuria for their home. Using their vast cosmic knowledge, otherwise known as the Akashic Record, they were able to construct substantial structures using vibrations and the energy of natural elements. They thrived on Lemuria for thousands of years, adding more and more knowledge to the Akashic Record. Lemuria became a center for a cultural and spiritual exchange for the rest of the world, which revolved around peace, cooperation, balance, and spiritual knowledge. As a culture, Lemurians were a peaceful people who used only natural materials to build their homes. They had great telepathic abilities and could share knowledge this way, which also eliminated conflicts and war. The Lemurians were adept at harnessing the power of crystals. They used them to heal and to communicate. They were also experts at harnessing vibration, and they used resonance technology to heal as well. They could even regenerate human tissue. Their knowledge of resonance and their knowledge of sacred geometry meant that all their structures maintained energetic alignment. They used solar energy in all kinds of ways, and they also coated their water with specific energies that promoted long life and excellent health. The Lemurians had light ships, craft that could move through different dimensions by using cosmic light and energy. They could travel by light ship to other highly advanced civilizations, not just throughout our world, but other worlds in the universe. This was a great way to share ideas, which they maintained through carefully constructed energy points. The Lemurians and the people of Atlantis had a very strong connection, sharing technology and spiritual ideals. They also had a shared consciousness, which allowed them to communicate without leaving their respective civilizations. But eventually, the Lemurians and the Atlanteans began to diverge. The Lemurians continued to promote spirituality and peaceful idea exchange, while the Atlanteans leaned more towards control. Although they mainly communicated telepathically, the Lemurians did write things down, and their most important manuscript was known as the Solemn Codex. It chronicled their entire utopian history and wisdom, but it wasn't written in a standard way. It was written in symbols and energies and could only be read by people who were spiritually ready to receive such information. When signs began to crop up that the Earth's energy was out of whack and their homes was in danger of being destroyed by earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, the Lemurians knew that they needed to get the Solemn Codex safely off Lemuria. One Lemurian was tasked with protecting the Codex. He or she did this by passing it along to other trusted guardians for thousands of years until it was ultimately brought to ancient France, where it stayed there for thousands of years. Then, in 1776, when the American colonists embarked on creating a new country separate from British rule, the Codex was offered to them as a beacon of enlightenment. At this point, the Codex was lost or perhaps stolen, never to be seen again. But what about the rest of the Lemurians? Well, when Lemuria began to show signs of sinking into the sea, many started leaving. Many traveled to Egypt, South America, and Asia, where they started again, imparting their knowledge to the people already living there. Believers in Lemuria point out the similar beliefs of these early cultures, especially when it comes to the use of crystals. Some traveled to Mount Shasta in California, where they built an underground city encrusted in jewels. Allegedly, in 1904, a British prospector named J.C. Brown went to Mount Shasta, hoping to find gold. One day while out prospecting, he found a cave that he decided to explore. This cave led to a tunnel that sloped downward beneath the mountain for 11 miles. When he finally got to the end of the tunnel, it opened up into this elaborate underground city, covered in gold, with hieroglyphs painted on the walls. He didn't find anyone who was living down there, but he did find evidence that people once did, including metal shields and 10-foot-tall mummies. Brown didn't touch any of it. He simply left it all where it was and trekked the 11 miles back up to the surface.
It's interesting to me that he was a prospector out there hoping to find gold, and then when he did, he claimed that he just left it all inside the underground city, that he didn't take anything.
Well, this is a bit different, right? He's out searching for gold nuggets, not for gold artifacts and things like that, correct?
Right.
It's a bit different.
It is.
So, he kept his discovery a secret for 30 years. During those 30 years, he read a lot about Lemuria and Mu, and he became convinced that he had stumbled upon the Lemurian city of Telos. So, he contacted John C. Root, a man who was so keenly interested in finding the lost city that he put together an expedition of 80 men. However, on the day of the expedition, Brown didn't show up. Now, not knowing where the cave was, the expedition had no choice but to give up. To this very day, people claim to have run-ins with the ethereal, graceful beings of Mount Shasta that they claim are Lemurians. Only today, the Lemurians have pale blue skin. Apparently, Lemurians have evolved from the ape-like creatures Madame Blavatsky described back in the late 1800s into tall, blue-skinned, ethereal, angel-like people with long flowing hair and either red, gold, or bright blue eyes. Although no one has been able to find the entrance to Telos, the belief that it exists is still very popular, bringing in tens of thousands of tourists a year, hoping to catch a glimpse of the white-robed ethereal figures. In 1936, the Lemurian Fellowship was founded in Ramona, California. Followers believed that the true Lemuria was in the Pacific Ocean, and that among its inhabitants were masters who transferred wisdom and knowledge to willing believers. The Lemurian Fellowship website offers several archaeological sites as evidence that Lemurians existed. On the list is Nan Madol, the statues of Easter Island, the cities of Cusco, and Tiwanaku, and the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Wow, the Lemurians were everywhere.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. There are some ways to tell if you've had a past life connection to Lemuria. For example, if you prefer flowy clothing and the color turquoise, or if you have any unusual birthmarks in the shape of a circle or triangle, or if you are a deeply empathetic person, or you have telepathic abilities. The modern-day Lemurian philosophy, according to BigThink.com, says that if you live by the universal laws, you will achieve an advanced stage of civilization. These laws include reincarnation, karma, and the teachings of Christ. Those who can maintain a balance of the spiritual and material world can become a member of the Lemurian order. So, the curious person that I am, I decided to take a look at the Lemurian Fellowship's website to try to get an idea of what modern-day Lemurians believe. There are basic tenets that modern-day Lemurians follow, like the law of action and reaction, which keeps the world in balance. But there are also lessons on financial security, health and wellness, and how to have a good marriage with strong ties to the idea of soulmates. And of course, how to be of good character. When it comes to the afterlife, Lemurians believe in reincarnation. As for creation, Lemurians are taught the connection between Lemuria and Atlantis, but also the importance of the Akashic record when using the Bible to verify the Lemurian philosophy. The website promises that, quote, questions that have puzzled humankind for countless generations are treated simply and logically, end quote. The lessons clarify such mysteries as Adam and Eve, the serpent in the garden, the forbidden fruit, the virgin birth of Jesus, and others. You will learn about Christ, his advent, his baptism, his ministry, and his ascension. Many who reach this point in the lessons express deep gratitude that a subject so profound has been so beautifully and satisfactorily interpreted. Lemurians are also taught about the New Order, which helps them see 800 years into the future after Armageddon. They get to see the three great cities of the forthcoming civilization: an educational city, an industrial city, and a governmental city. Now that makes me wonder what Philip Sclater would think about all this. It kind of makes you wonder what he thought about it while he was still living. Seeing his theory of the origin of lemurs turn into a philosophy and way of life that includes the Akashic record, healing with crystals, and 7-foot-tall beings in white robes living beneath Mount Shasta.
I think poor Philip Sclater's mind would be blown.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Poof.
He'd be sitting in his library going, "What are they doing?"
Yeah. What the fuck is wrong with these people?
Well, I don't...
You've taken it too far.
Yeah. Can you imagine, during his lifetime to see Madame Blavatsky and all of these spiritualists just create this narrative about this place that he proposed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interestingly, in 1990, Queen Elizabeth gave a royal order for a brand new coat of arms for the British Indian Ocean Territory, which includes about 1,000 small islands and 7 atolls. The coat of arms includes the Union flag, St. Edward's crown, and 2 turtles representing the wildlife of the area. But the motto on the coat of arms reads, "In tutela nostra Lemuria," which is Latin for "Lemuria is in our charge."
That's so strange.
It really is. Most websites referencing this coat of arms point out that it's merely a nod to the legend of Lemuria, and nothing more.
Oh, so they're just paying honor to the legend. Maybe to Philip Sclater.
Perhaps so. But are they really?
I don't know. Are they part of the New Order?
Could be. So, how did lemurs end up in Madagascar? Well, we covered that in a Who'da Thunk It a while back ago. But in case you missed it, they arrived on natural rafts, made out of vegetation sometime between 20 and 60 million years ago, when Africa and Madagascar were much, much closer together, and the ocean's current would have naturally pushed them towards Madagascar. Today, there are over 112 species of lemur living on Madagascar.
That's incredible.
What's incredible is they came over on rafts.
I know. They floated on rafts.
Can you see all these lemurs getting together on a raft?
Well, the thing is, if there's 112 species, that means that there's been all different kinds of lemurs that came over between 20 and 60 million years ago.
But they would have had to have fresh water, not salt water, and they would have had to have food.
Right.
So did they all get together and bring potluck or something? And they're hanging out on the raft because it had to be quite the journey.
Did they have little oars?
Yeah. How many lemurs perished? Right?
I don't know.
And some of them, not, the lemurs that weren't so well-to-do, they probably had tiny rafts.
Well, they didn't build them themselves. They were natural vegetation rafts.
That's what they want you to think.
Oh.
These lemurs were smart.
Right.
They probably had paddles.
Did they sing little rowing songs as they went?
I'm sure they did. You've seen Zaboomafoo.
I have. We said that at the top of the episode, how much we love Zaboomafoo.
It was a great show.
It was.
The kids used to love it.
I know.
I really liked it a lot, too.
I know.
Well, there you have it, everyone.
Lemuria. It's
Yeah.
a lot.
It really is.
And then how Lemuria and Mu became the same place, and it's a lot. It's more than my brain can comprehend.
It's more than my brain wants to comprehend. No, it's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, to this day, people are claiming to come across strange kind of...
Oh, Mount Shasta, of course.
Yeah, on Mount Shasta.
Yeah.
People that just don't seem quite human, I guess you could say.
There seems to be something going on there.
I know.
I'd love to see it for myself.
That's a whole episode in itself.
Because I hate to take other people's word for it.
I know.
You know, these shows sometimes, they add things for ratings and
right.
things like that.
Dramatic effect,
Dramatic
whatever.
effect.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. We don't do that.
Not us.
In fact, we don't have any effect. Other than,
We must have a little bit of effect. Well, who knows? I just know if there's any lemurs out there listening to us tonight, well, we kind of put them in a good light.
Yes,
They're seafaring little furry animals that went on a wonderful journey.
Yes. We put lemurs in a good light. They should feel good about it.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe we'll get an email.
From a lemur.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know. I'm sure they have internet.
Hey, weirder things have happened. All right, everyone.
Yes, everybody, if you'd like to know more about Lemuria, because, let's face it, there is a lot more, you can always check our sources in our show notes.
Join us again next week for an all-new episode of Where Our Minds Wander.
See you soon. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to traveling with you again to the places where our minds wander.
If you like what you heard, please take a moment and provide us with a 5-star rating and a comment on your favorite listening platform. It really helps us move up the list and become more visible on the podcast charts so new people can find us.
And thank you all for your continued support.
See you next week for an all-new episode.